Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Voices of Change. You have myself here, Gabe, as your co-host, and Tex Wambui.
What up, y'all? What's up? What's poppin'? It's good to be back on another beautiful episode today. Yeah, amen.
And we're fired up and ready to go. We got something jam-packed here for you guys. Amazing work that we've all been doing today. I just wanted to catch you guys up, though, on our previous excursions elsewhere. We recently did just drop a video for the Puerto Rico excursion and our opportunity to interview Miss Yasmina.
And I we no, so yeah, we definitely that was a good episode that we did. We got the chance to actually go see Puerto Rico. It was nice, beautiful place, a lot of love and culture there. But we wanted to kind of build up on talking about the impact that actually happened when it comes to the climate crisis and the energy grid system, because they got impacted after Hurricane Maria in 2017. And funny enough, we got there right after they got lights, after they had a blackout for at least 24 hours, 72 hours. We even got to go to Vieques Island. We got to see the locals there, and see what's going on and stuff. So, yeah, that was a really great experience. And shout out to you, Gabe, for being the camera tech guy that day, because we was definitely over there trying to figure out what would be the best setup.
Absolutely. You got to get the angles right. You got to make sure the lighting's good. Okay. Where we going to sit? How we going to do it? Man, got to love it. It's a great experience. Yes. Well, moving on, guys. Of course, we're coming to you, Voice of Change, to bring you guys all of the content. So, coming today, guys, Voice of Change, we're coming to bring you the voice, to bring you the change, to bring you the information necessary to be that change, not only where you're at, but in your communities, family, friends, everything in between. Today's topic is going to be centered around financial literacy. Financial literacy is a term that is endeared by most and is not necessarily seen by most. A lot of people throw the term around, and I want to make sure that we can work through exactly what it is, why it's important, and how we can use this in the future, not only to help ourselves, but to help our future. So, just to take it off, we're going to start off with a quick explanation of, what is financial literacy. For all intents and purposes, if you've never been introduced to anything with financial literacy or what it means and what have you, to be financially literate is to have a plan for your money, to know where it's going, what you're doing with it, and how it's going to affect you, not only in your day to day, but with the future. And so the main reason why we have a lot of people in our lives, in our communities, friends, what have you, that mismanage money. It's become a type of culture, a type of habit of us, especially in the Western community, in the Western world, especially over here in California. A lot of people that I'm around, a lot of people that you may see that they're spending money left and right, with no goal. But like you said, just establishing what you have, which is, establishing your budget. A budget is just a plan for how to spend and to save your money, right? One rule that I'd like to empower you all and pass along to you is to understand the 50-30-20 rule. Google this. You can a whole lot more research and different graphs, charts based on the 50-30-20 rule. And I think this is one of the most simple rules that you could start in terms of understanding financial literacy, is to understand that there's 50% for needs meaning your rent, your mortgage, your groceries, your utilities, etc. You have 30% for your wants meaning like things that you would do for entertainment, for your pleasure, dining out, things in that way. And then another 20% is going to be for your savings and your debt repayment, right? And so I'm not sure if everybody is aware, right? But there are multiple types of apps, multiple types of tools that are available. We have AI now, Chat GPT, things that can help to make either simple spreadsheets or to keep your budget and keep your expenses and income all in one place, right? There's things like, apps like Mint or YNAB, or just a simple spreadsheet that you can do to establish a budget for what you have going on. Now, one of the biggest things that you can do for yourself, and I challenge everybody as well, is to take the step to become financially literate or to learn to be financially literate today. The time is of the essence, and a lot of your gurus or financial professionals will say your time in the game, your skin in the game is what is going to make you your profit or earn money for you in that regard, right? So the earlier you start, the better, and get started early with saving and, putting money into a correct place for you for your future. Now, uh, moving forward, One thing that's, of course, as we speak about saving, right? One thing that we should always establish first when we are budgeting and we're trying to become literate, to save money, we have a financial goal in mind. We must save our money so that we can, create that emergency fund. You never know what's going to happen in life, whether somebody gets into a car accident or, you have some outstanding medical bills for any sicknesses in the world. You want to be prepared for it, because things will come. And if you're not, those that don't prepare, those that if you fail to plan, you're gonna plan to fail, and I'd rather we all be off on a better foot moving forward. I don't know where everybody's budget is, right? But I think the best thing that you can start off with is, you can start off small. You can aim to save $100, then move it up to 500 or 1,000 initially, and then work your way up to having 3 to 6 months of expenses that would be your 50% of our 50, 30, 20, having 3 to 6 months of those expenses saved up so that you can prepare for and have that cushion to take care of yourself, right? Having the savings also helps you to become, I would say, more adverse to taking risk as well, because you know that you have something to fall back on. So that's our one piece right there. And starting with saving as well, there are plenty of tools that I recommend people go ahead and take advantage of. One is a high yield savings account. Now, I think there are a lot of these available, right? Our regular bank accounts that we have, say with like Wells Fargo, Chase, right? They're not necessarily giving us the type of interest that would best benefit us as consumers, or should we say, as the financially literate. Leaving your money in there, you may see 1%, maybe 2% interest for your savings. Having a high yield savings account, you may see rates as so far as 4 to 5, even 6% interest rates for certain savings benefits. Some examples, it may be like Ally Bank or PNC Bank. They do offer these and have them available. And all it takes is a simple conversation either at the bank or taking the steps to apply or do your research online. So I definitely recommend taking care of that and making it simple. If you're creating your budget and you know where all your money's going, make it simple. Just put everything on auto pay. That way that over time, as you continue to work, as you continue to build your portfolio of money and what have you, that you're putting yourself in the best situation, the best situation moving forward, where it's mindless. It's basically your money's working for you, and that 4 to 5 interest is just going to only add up. Just think about it. The more that you have in, more skin in the game you have, the more that you will be rewarded. Moving forward, though, as well, I did want to also touch base, right, on some of the common mistakes that are going on with people in their finances, right? One thing that I would recommend that we all, take in consideration is, of course, how much we spend, but the mistake of overspending, right? Sometimes our eyes are bigger than, how much money we got. It's the same instance where you see a lot of food and your eyes say that, oh, I can eat all of this, but your stomach can't contain it. It's the same way with your money. You see all these things that you want, but your wallet isn't that big, and you may be overspending, say on subscriptions or eating out, or mindless credit card swipes. That those things add up, and as they do add up, it creates not only a problem for you, but a problem for your future. Now the money that you have forecasted to come in is not going to be coming in because you're paying off these high interest credit cards or what have you. So do yourself a favor and make sure that we are taking consideration overspending and cutting what's unnecessary. And then the second, I would say, mistake would be not tracking our expenses, right? And so we have money, it's meant to be used, right? Whether it's for rent, for your need, your want, what have you, but not tracking it, not knowing how much money is coming in and how much money is going out, you're shooting yourself in the foot, and you're falling victim to your own flaws, to your own human nature in a way, right? So I would say, like I said, build that budget, track your expenses, track your income, and then also set those goals as well. But that's our little topic piece for avoiding common financial mistakes. Tex, did you have anything to say about like any of these points that we were speaking about today?
Yo, yeah. So first of all, that's some real stuff you just shared there, Gabe. Because I've been talking about wanting to get a private jet, and getting a private jet that requires a lot of money. But I think it's something that's definitely doable because, from my understanding, a private jet costs money and it costs a lot of money. But to get there,
Millions.
and the millions in the world. So I want to just touch upon a specific topic that Gabe touched upon is spending. I want to kind of create this first. So check this out, right? Picture this moment. You're one tap away from getting a $30 hoodie, and your brain is screaming to you, do it, do it, do it. You feel alive. You're like, hell yeah. That's not just shopping right there. That's called this thing, the dopamine dealer. Something I just thought about this whole week as we're preparing for this
The
podcast today.
dopamine dealer.
The dopamine dealer in your head, it's running game on you. It's that quick hit feeling you get from spending, that dopamine rushing through your brain like you just hit a viral post or you crushed a new level in the game, right? Whether it's $5 energy drink or $50 impulse buy, it's giving you that temporary high that you're getting and you feel like you want to get. But here's the thing though. Companies already know this. They got a marketing team. They already know that. They was like, this guy, algorithm, we gonna put this in front of him because we know he gonna see that. He gonna want to spend that. So those buy now buttons, those get it now buttons, or they only say like only 2 left, or 50% off with all those little alerts. That is something that companies know. Even the playlist in your favorite store, they probably know that too. All this is designed to trigger that dopamine rush and keep you spending. That spending habit. That spending habit should be based on your income ability. And something to also say when it comes to income is that you need a job to have an income. You can't just be spending when you don't have an income. And one of the most important things to think about is in 2024 alone, people around the world dropped over $400 billion in impulse buys. People bought 400 billion worth of things. It's a lot of money, right? You can buy multiple private jets with that. And as a company, if I'm seeing that I'm getting a lot of sales, I'm going to keep doing that. But it's not that the fact it's wild. It's very strategic of how it happens. Your spending habits are things that you have to train your mind to do. Like for me, for example, I love to spend. I'm not a big shopper, right? But there's this thing called retail therapy. Sometimes I find myself doing retail therapy to where I tell myself, I've been wanting this new thing. I'm just going to get it because I have the money now. But then you really sit back and you assess that and you're like, maybe I could have put more down payment on a credit card I owe. Maybe I could have put more in my savings account. Or maybe I could have put more in my high yield savings account because now that money is still yours. You still have access to it and it might be getting you more money and making you more money. So the aspect when it comes to spending is that I'm not saying don't spend money. You're going to have to spend money because money circulates, but how you circulate it for yourself is probably one of the most important thing. And that's what I keep saying. It's the dopamine dealer kind of whispering to you, just one more hit, while your future self bank accounts are starving. You're starving your own bank account, but you're not starving your closet or your shoe case, or your desk. You might be getting all these things, but you don't have to fall for it. It's not something you have to fall for. You can honestly just flip that script. And here's the move, right? Start seeing money not as something you're spending, but as time you're buying back. Because time is money. Let's do like this. If you skip one $10 splurge a week, right? That's $520 a year. Take that $520 a year, put it in a high yield savings account. You might be getting maybe $10 back at the end of the year because you just decided to save it because of your interest rates. So that's kind of the whole aspect of it. I'm not saying that's the correct math on it, right? And let's say you invest that at 7%. And in 10 years, you've got over 1,000 from just not spending $10 a week on some regular high energy drink. Not saying you shouldn't do it, but I'm just saying this is the potential outcomes you can have if you decide to have that habit to where you're saying this specific type of income, going back to that 50-30 rule, is that you can even maybe increase it. Instead of 50-30, you can maybe have it 60-20-20, to where you're now making that change in your habits. For example, if you make $20 an hour, that's 50 hours you don't have to work later. If you save $10 splurging a week, $520, and you have a 7% investment rate in 10 years, you just save 50 hours of you not having to work. And that's a whole week you just earned back by not doing anything. All you did was just sit there, continue what you're supposed to do, and you didn't become part of the dopamine dealer type of mindset, right? So next time you kind of feel that itch to buy, pause and ask yourself, is it worth my time? Is it really worth your time? You know, that $10 smoothie, that's 30 minutes of your future you just sold. Not saying you don't want that smoothie, you don't need it, and this is where you got to differentiate your wants and your needs. Your spending right now is maybe buying you less time for your future, right? And I've been there before. I'll give an example. I used to love going to eat this. There was this one spot I used to love eating when I was actually in college. It used to be called Open Rice. I used to love eating Open Rice so much, and there used to be a burrito spot actually right across the street from our first apartment I lived at. I used to get burritos there all the time. We used to get burritos there all the time.
Man,
And them burritos, but back then it was around $12 a burrito. But right now it's probably around $15. And blowing that stuff, if I think back to that time, if I would have maybe decided to spend that $15 instead of buying groceries, it would have saved me more money in the long term than I actually thought about, right? So blowing $40 off on junk just for the buzz. But once I started running this mindset shift, it was like honestly game changer. For every single time, like I go to a Starbucks or I eat out, I think about the fact that I have the room now in my budget to be able to do those things. Like last month, we're in the month of May right now, right? Last month, I skipped a $75 night out and tossed it into a regular savings account. And then I was like, let me transition it to a high yield savings account. And then, funny enough, I used to want to do that for like a whole week just because I wanted to enjoy myself. I was like, oh, I have extra income. And I did the math. If I saved $60 out of that $75 every day for 5 days, that's $300. Now, if you think about it like this, if you save $60 a day for a year, every single day, that's 21,900. That's a lot of money. If you have an income that's coming in, that's a lot of money. And I swear, it felt like I was robbing the system, not myself. Like I'm like, you know what? I'm not actually going out there and just swiping my card and taking out my wallet and putting out cash. Of course, money has to circulate, but you can make money circulate in your own benefit, not in the benefit that's not giving you something in return. So here's my challenge to you, right? Maybe for the next 3 days, before you buy anything, you don't need to like just buy it initially. First, you want to do this. Pause maybe just for 10 seconds and ask yourself again, is this worth my future time? If it's a no, stash that cash and keep it pushing because you can probably find what you want in that moment for that extra splurging in a different kind of form of way. And it's that dopamine rush you get from all that spending that you get. Every time you want to do, oh, I'm just gonna give me some Starbucks today, or because I feel like I have the money. Just give yourself 10 seconds and think about, is me spending this $10 on this coffee today? Is it really worth my future time? Because man, I have a coffee pot at home. I have some coffee beans. I could have definitely done that. And if your answer is no, stash that cash. Remember that. And remember back to the 30-20 rule, right? So that's my little piece and gem for today that I just wanted to say. So
I like it. I like it. Thank you for sharing, Tex. That was powerful. There were so many points there within that entire monologue right there that I'm sure if somebody was going to take that and learn from it, and it might just change their life. So appreciate you, Tex. Yes, sir. I wanted to circle back though as well. Like we said, our 50-30-20 rule. Like, where does that come from? Like, what does that mean? How is it applicable? I did want to circle back to make sure that our viewers here, say if we have any younger viewers or people that would like a fuller explanation, that the 50-30-20 rule does come from your worked income, right? And so it's an earned income. There's 7 different types of incomes that are out there. You know, investment, savings, capital gains, all type of things, right? You can Google that outside. Like I said, 7 different types of income. One, like you said, is our earned income. That is our usually our 9 to 5s, our 40 hours a week, our maybe part-time job for some of our students out there, maybe our university people. However, one thing that you should always consider, right, is that when it comes to your earned income, it's not your earned income. Yes, that goes for the 50-30-20 rule, but you should always be looking to expand that income, right? Whether it is learning new skills, gaining new assets, purchasing assets, or in addition as well, and assets meaning like things that make you money, things that hold money, hold value. So one thing that you can do, right? So for people that are out here that have 9 to 5s with families, what have you, are some side hustles, side gigs that are, I would say, applicable in different variants for different types of people, right? And so, we have things like, you could be a portfolio or you can revise videos for like YouTube, right? You can do. I'm sorry, I got kids in the back, y'all.
nah, yeah,
Apologies.
I hear that. But that's actually a good point. On having that kind of substantive income that you have, like that one main source of income that you know you can rely on. Adding on top of to that is what they call, I guess, alternative or passive incomes, what they call as maybe potential side hustles. And those things are now the income that you can also attribute to the 50/30 rule as well. So let's say your average monthly income is $6,000, right? And you get taxed and you're taking in 4,500. You know that's your set income every month and you know you're going to be budgeting that out, right? Now, if you have a side hustle and your side hustle is bringing you 3,000 and that's just straight up 3,000 that's not being taxed, you can now use the same mindset, the same rule, the 50/30/20 rule, to where that same 3,000, you can still apply it to that. It's still adding to your portfolio you have developed with your main source of income, as well as adding more onto it. And also, if you now have another source of income, you also can apply that same rule, or you can now only use that income as your spending income. All your other incomes are not for spending, they're all maybe for investment, savings, and your basic needs. And the most important thing to think about though is this: time is money, and money is time. The time you put in is the money you're gonna get out. And yes, it's important to also take in consideration, not saying that everybody has, access to full time jobs and stuff like that. But for every income you're making, where that income is going to, just know you put in the time for that. And the most important thing to consider is that you're still gonna have to go back and earn that income back. Because if you work 1 hour and you get paid $20 for that hour, that $20, you're probably only gonna keep $7 of that, because the rest of that for that 1 hour you worked, it has to go towards your basic needs, the other 30% that you got, and the other 20% that you got. So you work 8 hours, 20 times 8, 160. Think about, out of that 160 for one day of work, what is that you're actually gonna be keeping in return for the time you put in. And that's kind of the mindset I would say has helped me myself personally as well. Because I remember when I heard my first um big boy job, as they would say, I saw how much I'm getting paid. I was like, oh, okay. This. I was like, okay, I'm getting a fat check every month. And then I got my first paycheck, and I realized, oh, I'm only gonna get to use only maybe 10% of this just for the things that I consider myself that I want to do, like going buy myself clothes and all those things. Because majority of it had to go to my basic needs, how to pay my rent, how to pay my insurance, car payments, whatever it is. And then the other maybe had to save for it. Then the other had to put it in an emergency fund. And I only was able to keep maybe $500 out of it, and that's the only thing I have for like discretionary spending, right? So it's those are kind of the most important things I would say when it comes to budgeting, is that yes, of course, first make sure you have that source of income, and then once you get that source of income, you should already be thinking about, I'm putting in these hours this time. This is how much time this is giving me now to not stress, and I already know it's gonna be happening, because they always say this in economics: time is money, money is time.
Amen to that. I like it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Stay on track, guys. Time is money. Start as early as possible. Okay. Now, one thing I did want to touch base as well, as we segue into another point, right? Are three for the founders, right? Three for the founders. Three for the founders. Yes, sir. So I
Three
got
for the founders, blue fire all day.
Yes, sir. And so I wanted to touch base, right, about three key points in investing, right? So for investing basics, three things that you can start today, or you can invest your time in to learn today that can benefit you in the future, right? So one thing I will touch base on is that when you save your money in high yields investment accounts, or you save your money in stocks or in Roth IRAs, or anything that in that regard, right? Make sure that you start early and take advantage of compound interest. Compound interest is going to propel and grow that $1,000 that you put in at a 10% interest rate each year over year. It's not just going to be 10%, right? It compounds year over year from what you get. And it's going to only continually grow exponentially. Make sure you start early, start now, take action today. Number two, wanted to make sure that you guys are aware. Make sure that when you are saving your money, right, for following this 50/30/20 rule, make sure that the money that you are saving, that you understand the basics of what savings is, where you're putting your money. Savings could look different for anybody. Some people may save their money in stocks. Some people may put their money in other vehicles like bonds or ETFs or mutual funds. Make sure you take some time to do the due diligence yourself. I myself put my money into ETFs and to stocks, because you got to grow with the market. And I love seeing the compound interest and the dividend interest that you guys get back from investing in said ETFs or stocks. One thing I also want to do is make sure that you guys are aware that make sure you're using these low cost platforms as well, right? Robinhood, Fidelity, Vanguard. There's things that are options that are available for you guys to take advantage of. Make sure that you are doing some research, doing some due diligence. Please, if you listen to this and hear this, this falls upon ears that will soak it up, because I want to make sure that our community, our people, are taking the necessary steps to put the best foot forward. So those be my 2 points. I'll toss it to Tex for the hot topic of the day. Yes, sir.
All right, hot topic of the day is gonna go back to what I had mentioned earlier. Let's stop letting the dopamine dealer run the show and start stacking wins for your future. Because money is time, time is money. Give yourself grace from where you're starting from. And as you build, always remember each individual has their own strategy that best serves to them. So just because you think it's working for somebody else doesn't mean it might work for you. The best thing to do is ensure yourself that you have the ability to be able to stay on track for the better of yourself and your people. That's my hot topic for the day. And if you really enjoyed our episode today, hit us up at Sustain the Story with the hashtag dopamine detox. And, you know,
Dopamine dealer.
you can flex on what you dodge and be your own dopamine dealer. Don't let somebody else be your own dopamine dealer. So that's my last thing I want to say on that. And if you really enjoyed watching this episode and you want to listen more, make sure you go download the Alive Podcast Network app where you can find plethora of other podcasts by Black hosted people like Gabe and I. And subscribe, like, comment, share, whatever it is, and let us know, what is your financial strategy? What is something that you think we should also talk about here more? Because I'm ready to talk about futures, stock market, market volatility, all that stuff. If y'all want to hear that, we got you. So, any last words and closing thoughts you got, Gabe?
I would just say this. Hey, thank you all for taking this time to listen to our podcast. It's greatly appreciated. Like you said, make sure you check us out on a live podcast network app. Supporting this podcast means you do get ad-free access to nearly 100 other Black hosted podcasts. So let's help keep conversations like this going. And in addition as well, let's make sure that we all stay connected, keep growing. And I guess we'll catch you on the next episode of Voices of Change. Yes, sir.
We are the voices of change. Thank y'all so much. Peace out. Love and blessing.
Peace.